The first light of dawn spread softly across the sky of Jarkath. The ruins of the old empire gleamed faintly in the early sun, but a new energy filled the air. Hope. The alien queen stood on the highest balcony of her palace, looking out at the stars. Beside her stood Captain Alex Reeve. They had come far together, from enemies to allies, from despair to hope. "Look at what we have built," the queen said quietly. "It is not the empire I once knew, but it is something new, something better." Alex smiled. "It is a beginning, not just for your people, but for many worlds." Below them, the city buzzed with life. Humans and Silari worked side by side, rebuilding homes, factories, and ships. Children laughed in the streets, their mixed voices a symbol of unity. The queen turned to Alex. "I almost surrendered to defeat, but you stepped in and changed everything. You showed me a new way to lead, with courage and hope." Alex nodded. "You showed me strength and honor. Together, we are stronger than we were alone." Suddenly, a message arrived from their allies, other planets that had heard of their alliance. They were ready to join the fight, ready to build a future together. The queen's eyes shone with determination. "This is our chance, to build a galaxy where no one fears war, where all can live free." Alex looked to the stars. "It will not be easy. There will be battles ahead. But with trust and friendship, we can face anything." The queen raised her hand, signaling her warriors. "Let this day be remembered. The day a broken empire became a new beginning. The day humans and Silari stood as one." The crowd below cheered loudly, their voices filling the city with hope and strength. As the suns rose higher, the queen and Alex prepared to lead their united forces into the future. Not as enemies, not as conquerors, but as partners, ready to protect peace and build a better world. The stars above shone brightly, lighting the path ahead. A new dawn had come. The palace was quiet in the early morning light. The alien queen sat in her private chambers, deep in thought. The war had changed her, changed the empire. But more than anything, it was the presence of Captain Alex Reeve that shifted her view of the galaxy. Alex was unlike anyone she had ever met. His simple words carried strength, his ideas brought hope. The queen remembered how proud and certain she was before. Now she saw things differently. She rose and walked through the halls, where humans and Silari worked side by side. Soldiers trained together, engineers shared ideas, and children from both species played under the watchful eyes of their elders. The queen stopped by a workshop where Alex was showing a group of young warriors how to use a new weapon. The human's smile was warm, his patience endless. "Your Majesty," Alex said as he noticed her, "they are quick learners." She nodded. "Your ways are strange to us, but they work." Alex looked thoughtful. "Humans survive because we adapt. We listen, learn, and change. Sometimes that means setting aside pride." The queen smiled softly. "I have learned much from you, Captain. You have changed not only this war, but the heart of an empire." Outside, the city was rebuilding. The scars of war were still visible, but life was returning. Markets opened, families reunited, and a new spirit of cooperation grew. One day, the queen called a meeting of her council and invited human leaders. "We must build more than ships and weapons," she said. "We must build trust, share knowledge, create a future where both our peoples thrive." The human leaders agreed. They spoke of exchange programs, joint missions, and cultural celebrations. The idea of peace was no longer just a dream but a plan. As weeks passed, the queen and Alex visited schools and villages, encouraging unity. They shared stories of bravery and sacrifice from both sides, reminding everyone that survival was a shared goal. The queen found herself smiling more, feeling lighter. The weight of endless war was easing. She knew challenges remained, but with humans as allies, the future was brighter. One evening, as stars glittered above, Alex and the Queen stood on the palace balcony. The air was cool, filled with the sound of distant laughter and life. "Do you think the galaxy will ever be truly peaceful?" the Queen asked. Alex looked at the stars. "Maybe not, but as long as we keep trying, together, we can make it better." The Queen nodded. Together. In that moment, the alien and the human saw not enemies or strangers, but partners. Their alliance was more than a strategy. It was the beginning of a new era. The battle was over, but the cost weighed heavily on the alien queen. The great city of Jarkath lay scared and broken. Fires still burned in places, and the sky was thick with smoke. The empire she had ruled for so long was no longer the powerful force it once was. The queen stood on her balcony, looking out over the ruined city. Her many eyes reflected the flames below, and in her heart she felt a deep sorrow. So many lives lost, so much destruction. The victory had come, but at a terrible price. Captain Alex Reeve stood beside her, silent. He understood her pain. They had won a great battle, but the war was far from over. "Your Majesty," he said gently, "we have taken an important step. The enemy is weaker now." The Queen turned to him. "Yes, but at what cost? Our fleets are smaller. Our people are tired. How do we rebuild from this?" Alex looked determined. "We rebuild together. Not just the empire, a new future, one where humans and Silari work side by side." The Queen nodded slowly. "I want to believe that, but my people may not be ready." Inside the palace, the mood was tense. Some warriors celebrated, but many grieved. Families had lost loved ones, and the weight of survival pressed heavily on everyone. The Queen called her council. "We must honor those who fell and care for the survivors, but we must also prepare. The enemy will return, stronger and angrier." Alex presented new plans for rebuilding ships faster, sharing human technology and ideas. "We can be faster and smarter than before," he said, "but only if we work as one." The Queen studied the plans. She saw hope in the strange human ways, small machines that worked quickly, strategies that used brains instead of brute force. That night, the Queen walked through the city's ruined streets. She saw the faces of her people, tired, scared, but still alive. She reached out to them, promising to lead them into a new age. Back at the palace, Alex prepared for the next mission. He knew the enemy would strike again, but he also knew that together they had a chance. As the stars blinked overhead, the Queen and the human captain stood united. They had paid a high price for victory, but their journey was far from over. The future was uncertain, but now it held a glimmer of hope. The dawn sky was painted with red and gold as the Silari prepared for battle. The palace was alive with energy and purpose. The Queen stood tall, flanked by Captain Alex Reeve and her loyal warriors. Today was the day to strike back. The enemy fleet loomed close, ready to crush what was left of the empire. They believed the Silari were weak, broken by war and betrayal. But they did not know about the new alliance, the unexpected force that had grown inside the palace walls. Alex gathered the commanders. "We fight smart, not just strong," he said. "Our goal is to surprise them, hit their supply ships first. Without supplies, their weapons and ships will fail." The Queen nodded. "Our warriors will follow your lead. Show us the way, human." The battle began under the twin suns. Silari ships moved swiftly, their engines humming like thunder. Alex led a small squadron of fast, nimble fighters through a hidden path in the asteroid belt, a secret route only he knew. The enemy was caught off guard. Their supply ships were vulnerable and poorly defended. Alex's squad struck quickly, disabling fuel tanks and weapon stores with precision. Back at the palace, the Queen watched the battle unfold on the holomap. The enemy's fleet began to falter, their attacks losing power. The tide was turning. The enemy commander, furious, ordered a full assault on the Silari fleet. But Alex had prepared for this. Using traps and quick maneuvers, his forces lured the enemy ships into dangerous asteroid fields. One by one, the enemy ships were damaged or destroyed. The Queen's warriors fought bravely, inspired by the human captain's courage and strategy. As the sun set, the enemy retreated. The battle was won, but the cost was high. Many ships were lost, and the Empire was still fragile. The Queen approached Alex. "You have changed the course of this war. I did not believe in your way at first, but now I see its power." Alex smiled, tired but hopeful. "This is only the beginning. We must keep fighting. Together." That night, the palace celebrated. For the first time in many cycles, hope filled the air. The Queen and Alex stood side by side, knowing the road ahead was still dangerous but no longer impossible. Outside, the stars shone bright, a reminder that even in the darkest times, light could break through. The palace was quieter than usual. Shadows stretched long across the marble floors as night settled over Zarkath. But beneath the calm surface, a storm was brewing, one that threatened everything the Queen and Alex had worked for. In a darkened room, the Queen's second-in-command, General Varrak, paced angrily. He did not trust the human captain. To him, Alex was a stranger, a weakness that could destroy the Empire. "This alliance is a mistake," Varrak growled. "The Queen has lost her way." Varrak met with a small group of loyal officers. "The Queen plans to surrender our pride to this human," he hissed. "If we allow this, our empire will fall completely." His followers nodded. They shared his fear and anger. Together, they began to plan a coup, to remove the Queen and Alex from power and take control. Meanwhile, the Queen and Alex met in the war room, unaware of the danger close by. They discussed strategies for their next attack, trusting in their growing alliance. Suddenly, the palace alarms blared. Guards rushed through the halls, shouting warnings. General Varrak and his loyalists had launched their strike. They stormed the Queen's chambers, capturing her guards and surrounding the throne room. The Queen stood firm, her eyes blazing. "Varrak, what is the meaning of this?" Varrak sneered. "Your Majesty, you have weakened us with your trust in the human. We will restore the Empire's honor, with or without you." Alex stepped forward, calm but ready. "This ends now, Varrak. You threaten not just the Queen, but all who want peace." The two men faced off. Varrak's officers moved to attack, but Alex and the Queen's loyal guards fought back fiercely. The battle was quick and brutal. Alex used his speed and tactics to outmaneuver the rebels, while the Queen's warriors rallied around her. In the end, Varrak was captured, and his coup failed. Breathing heavily, the Queen looked at Alex. "You saved my life, and maybe the Empire." Alex nodded. "We must stay united. There will be more enemies, both outside and inside these walls." The Queen's voice was steady. "Then we fight, together." The palace slowly returned to calm, but trust was fragile. The betrayal had shaken everyone. The Queen and Alex knew they had to move fast before more threats appeared. Outside, the stars continued to shine cold and distant. But inside the palace, a new bond was forged, one built on survival, courage, and hope. The war room was quiet except for the soft hum of starship engines outside. The alien Queen sat with Captain Alex Reeve, staring at the glowing map of the galaxy. The battles ahead were difficult, and the Queen needed answers. "Tell me, human," the Queen said slowly, "why do you know so much about our enemies? How did you survive their attacks when we did not?" Alex looked at her seriously. "There is something you don't know, something lost long ago. Our histories were once linked." The Queen's many eyes widened. "Linked? Explain." Alex took a deep breath and began. "Long before this war, humans and the Xilari were allies. We fought side by side against a common enemy. But then, centuries ago, something happened. A great war drove us apart. Both sides forgot the truth. The queen listened, her pride mixing with curiosity. Alex continued, "We learned things about the enemy, their weaknesses, their ways. Humans adapted, survived in the dark places of space. We developed technology and strategies that could stop them." The queen's advisor interrupted. "Why did this history disappear? Why did our peoples become enemies?" Alex shook his head. "Fear and pride. Old wounds never healed. We forgot the power of unity." The queen stared at the stars projected in the room. "If we had known this before, our empire might not be in ruins." Alex nodded. "That is why I came. To remind us all that the past holds the key to our future." She leaned forward. "Show me this knowledge. Teach me your ways, human." Alex smiled. "I will. But it must be together, humans and Silari, side by side." For the first time in many cycles, the queen felt a flicker of hope. The past was no longer just history. It was a guide. A chance to save what was left and build something new. Outside the palace, the city still burned, but inside, a new plan was forming. The alliance between the queen and the human captain was growing stronger. Together, they would unlock secrets buried by time and prepare for the coming battle. As Alex and the queen worked late into the night, they knew the enemy was watching. But they were no longer afraid. They had found strength in each other, a power that could change the fate of the galaxy. The day of the trial arrived. The queen's palace courtyard was filled with the strongest warriors of the Silari Empire. Their armor gleamed under the twin suns, and their weapons were sharp and deadly. All eyes were on Captain Alex Reeve, the human who claimed he could save them. The queen stood on her balcony, watching silently. Her many eyes scanned the courtyard, taking in the tense faces of her warriors. Could this human truly prove himself worthy? Alex stood tall in the center of the courtyard. He knew the eyes of thousands were on him, but he did not feel fear. He felt something stronger, determination. The first challenge was combat. The Silari warriors were skilled fighters, but Alex had trained hard for this moment. As the first warrior stepped forward, Alex moved quickly, dodging attacks with surprising speed. He used not just strength, but clever moves and timing. The crowd gasped as Alex disarmed the warrior without hurting him. Next was strategy. The queen's generals brought out a holographic battle map. Alex studied it carefully. Then he made bold decisions, suggesting ways to outsmart the enemy using traps and surprise attacks. The generals whispered among themselves. His ideas were different but clever. The final test was diplomacy. The queen had arranged for Alex to speak with leaders of other alien clans who had lost faith in the empire. Alex listened carefully to their fears and hopes. Then, speaking clearly and honestly, he promised they would all have a place in a new future, one built on cooperation, not just power. When the trials ended, the queen rose from her throne. The silence was deep as everyone waited. She spoke slowly, her voice full of respect. "Human, you have shown skill, wisdom, and honor. You fight not just with strength, but with your mind and heart. You have passed the trial." The crowd erupted in cheers, but the queen's face remained serious. "This is only the beginning. The war is not over. Our enemies still threaten us." Alex nodded. "I know, but together, we have a chance. We can change the course of this war." The queen stepped down from her throne and approached Alex. "You will fight with us. But understand this, loyalty is earned, not given." Alex met her gaze. "I am ready." That night, the palace was alive with energy. Soldiers trained in new tactics, and engineers worked to upgrade ships and weapons. The queen and Alex met in the war room, planning their next moves. Outside, the enemy fleet prepared for the final strike. They believed the Silari were weak and ready to fall. But inside the palace walls, a new force was rising. A force led by an unexpected alliance between a proud alien queen and a determined human captain. The grand hall buzzed with quiet tension. The alien queen sat back on her throne, eyes fixed on Captain Alex Reeve. Around them, her generals whispered nervously. Could this human really offer a way to save their crumbling empire? Alex cleared his throat. Your Majesty, I know you doubt me. You think humans are weak and small, but we survive because we adapt. We find new ways to fight and to live. The queen raised an eyebrow. Words are easy. Show me. Alex nodded. I have a plan, but it requires trust. Trust that I will fight alongside you, not against you. The queen's eyes narrowed. Explain this plan. Alex took a step forward, pulling out a small device from his belt. He placed it on the floor. It projected a glowing three-dimensional map of the galaxy, flickering with points of light. Our enemies are strong, Alex said. They use speed and numbers, but they have a weakness. They do not expect us to fight like humans. He tapped the device, zooming in on a cluster of enemy ships. We need to strike at their supply lines, cut off their fuel and weapons. Without those, their attacks will fail. The generals whispered. The queen looked thoughtful. And how do you propose we do this? Your ships are few, and your forces small. Alex smiled. That's where human creativity comes in. We use smaller, faster ships, hit and run attacks. We avoid big battles and focus on smart strikes. We use surprise, technology, and speed. He paused, looking directly at the queen. I will lead these attacks. I ask only for your permission and your warriors to fight alongside us. The queen considered his words. She had always relied on strength and numbers. But her empire was broken. Maybe this human way was what they needed. Very well, she said slowly. You will have your chance. But if you fail, there will be no second chance. Alex nodded. Understood, Your Majesty. That night, Alex met with the Queen's top commanders. They were skeptical but curious. He showed them human weapons, small but powerful, and new tactics based on speed and surprise. We fight smart, Alex said, not just with strength. Over the next days, the Queen's forces trained with the humans. The warriors were tough and proud, but they learned to move quickly and think differently. The Queen watched closely, feeling the strange mix of hope and doubt. Meanwhile, the enemy prepared for the final assault. They had no idea that a new kind of fighter was forming within the enemy's walls, one who could change the course of the war. As Alex stood on the palace balcony, looking at the stars, he thought about his people back on Earth. They had fought many wars, faced many dangers, and they had never given up. Maybe, he whispered to himself, this time we fight not just for humans, but for all who want to live free. The grand hall of the palace was silent except for the soft footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The alien queen stood tall and proud, her many eyes fixed on the entrance. Guards parted like waves as a small group of soldiers escorted the newcomer inside. A human. Captain Alex Reeve walked with steady confidence. His eyes were sharp, full of purpose, and a calm fire burned within him. He wore simple clothes, not armor like the auxiliary warriors, but there was something in his presence that made even the Queen's strongest generals feel uneasy. Why have you come here, human? The Queen's voice was cold but curious. We are on the brink of surrender. You arrive as if you own the stars. Alex bowed his head slightly. Your Majesty, I come with a message, not to conquer, but to offer hope. The Queen's many eyes blinked slowly. Hope. From a human. Our history with your kind is long and troubled. Why should I listen to you now? Alex took a deep breath. Because what I offer can save your people, and many others. The war you face is not just your fight. It is bigger than any one empire. The Queen's advisors exchanged uneasy looks. One whispered, this human is bold, perhaps too bold. Alex continued, I am here to propose an alliance, not to weaken you, but to help you rebuild, to fight together against the true enemy. The Queen's face hardened. We have no enemies left, but those who seek to destroy us. You speak in riddles." Alex stepped forward. "There is a force, greater than your invaders, spreading across the galaxy. If you surrender now, you will only delay the inevitable." A murmur spread through the room. The Queen's voice dropped. "Explain." Alex nodded. "My people, humans, have faced this threat before. We have fought and survived because we never give up. I bring knowledge and strength. Together, we can stand." The Queen looked at her council. Some were angry. Others were scared. But all understood one thing. Surrender meant the end of their empire. Alex's offer was a strange, uncertain chance. "Very well, human," she said after a long pause. "You will prove your worth. If you can show me that your kind is more than stories and legends, I will consider your alliance." Alex smiled, knowing the real work was just beginning. "That is all I ask, Your Majesty." Outside the palace, the enemy forces watched with suspicion. The sudden appearance of the human ship had thrown their plans into chaos. If the Queen accepted Alex's proposal, the war might change in ways no one expected. Back inside, the Queen prepared herself. She would test this human, and through him, find a new way to save her people. The Empire's fate now rested on a fragile hope and the courage of one unexpected ally. The sky above the great palace was dark and filled with smoke. Fires burned all around the city of Jarkath, once the shining capital of the Xilari Empire. Now, the proud empire was falling apart. The enemy's ships flew in tight formations, cutting through the air like deadly knives. The Xilari warriors fought bravely, but their strength was fading. Inside the palace, the alien queen sat on her throne, her face hard and tired. Her silver skin shimmered under the cold lights, and her many eyes scanned the battlefield through the palace's giant windows. She was strong and proud, the ruler of thousands of worlds. But today, even she could see that defeat was near. Around her, her generals and advisors spoke in hurried voices. "The enemy has taken the outer defenses. Soon, they will breach the palace," one said, fear in his voice. "We cannot win this war," said another. "Our people are dying by the thousands. It is time to surrender." The Queen's many eyes narrowed. She had ruled with strength and honor. To surrender meant losing everything: her people, her pride, and the empire her ancestors built. Yet the thought of more bloodshed made her heart heavy. "I will speak to the enemy commander," the Queen finally said. "If they want surrender, I will offer it. But I will not give up without knowing their terms." Her voice was cold but calm. The room fell silent. Everyone knew how proud she was, and this decision was hard. Outside the palace, the enemy commander waited. He was a tall, dark figure with a helmet hiding his face. His ships surrounded the city like a cage. He was ready to accept the Queen's surrender. But just as a signal was sent to begin peace talks, a strange ship appeared on the horizon. It was unlike any vessel the Xilari or their enemies had seen before. Sleek and fast, it moved through space like a silver arrow. Inside the ship, Captain Alex Reeve, a human from Earth, watched the city below. He had heard about the war, about the fall of the Xilari Empire, but he did not want to see more death. He had come with a message, one that could change everything. As the alien forces prepared for surrender, Alex's ship landed near the palace. The guards were shocked to see a human, a species long thought weak and small compared to the mighty Xilari. Whispers spread quickly. "Why is the human here? What does he want?" The Queen stood, her body tense but curious. She had almost accepted defeat. Now, a new player had entered the game, and no one knew what would happen next.